Let's talk about dooming the Zeitgeist movement into obscurity. The goals of the Zeitgeist movement are pretty large. That is, advocating for a change of the planet's socioeconomic system. When your goals are that big, you have to work on building bridges with other people and other groups. You want to stay essential to your goals and things that actually matter to it. You don't want to turn this into something else. The skeptic movement is not about building bridges with anything. The skeptic movement is about attacking people, alienating them, insulting them, and so forth. And people who follow the skeptic movement are primarily there, I think, in order to feel good about themselves by putting others down. That's the real point of it, is just to say that person's an idiot, they're not scientific, and so forth. Also, the other purpose of the skeptic movement is to make sure that people are in line with whatever the consensus is at the time. Whatever people in institutions of power say, the skeptic movement is going to fall behind. They are not skeptics of things which are upheld by the establishment. With that being said, the Zeitgeist movement needs to stay focused on what is relevant to a resource-based economy. If you have people coming in trying to project ideas from the skeptic movement, you're going to, almost by definition, what the skeptic movement is all about, you're just going to be alienating people. For example, let's say someone believes in the Loch Ness Monster. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, whatever. It's probably not true. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, someone believes in the Loch Ness Monster, but they also are attracted to the ideas of resource-based economy. For what reason is there to alienate this person? What is there to possibly gain by it? If your goals are that far-reaching that you want to change the socioeconomic system of the planet, you need to make sure that you're on target with things that are relevant and not go on to different stuff. So the Loch Ness Monster is not relevant to a resource-based economy. Therefore, you would want to be careful before even going there, because, what's the point? Or if you're talking about religion, you want to be careful and talk about certain aspects of religion that might be relevant. You don't want to necessarily attack all forms of religion or all ways that religion is practiced, because to be sure, there are rather simple regressive ways that people may practice a religion, and there are more in-depth, deeper ways that someone may practice. So you really want to stay on point to what the issue is. If you just attack for no reason, all you're going to do is alienate people. Also, the skeptic movement, they're not as necessarily scientific as they claim, because they just attack what is not establishment view, and ultimately what it comes down to is they believe in what's called the scientific consensus. So whatever the scientific consensus says is true, they will accept as true. And dissenters are not looked at as, oh, maybe this person has some interesting ideas. Oh, maybe we should listen to what they say. They're just there to be attacked. Something that you can tell about bias with the skeptic movement is you will not find them attacking anything in conventional medicine. There's nothing that they will attack. It doesn't matter how many dangerous toxic drugs there are that injure how many people. It doesn't matter how many scandals there are with drug companies, with the FDA. It doesn't matter how you have people going back and forth between pharmaceutical companies and government. It doesn't matter. You will not find a single hit piece against anything in conventional medicine, while by any standards it is killing hundreds of thousands of people year after year after year. And you could just imagine the way these people would freak out if one person died from a natural supplement. So, that's the bias. So what is the point of reiterating this skeptic movement. Now, when you go and you decide that you like aspects of the skeptic movement, and because the skeptic movement hates natural health, and that's their bias, they don't like then Mercola.com. So then you say, let's say you go off and you say, oh, I'm with the Zeitgeist movement. I want to use the scientific method for social concern. That's how we should organize our society. Mercola.com is stupid, and in my ideal world, no one would listen to any of his ideas. Well, you're essentially telling someone who might read Mercola.com is that you want to create a scientific dictatorship where everyone must conform to the scientific consensus and things which fall outside are not allowed. Therefore, in this world, if someone wants to use some supplement that is not part of the scientific consensus, they're not allowed to. Or if someone wants to use a homeopathic, they're not allowed to now. Now, whether or not you believe these things are valid or not, it's not really the goal of the Zeitgeist movement to tell people what they can or cannot do with their body in terms of what treatments they seek out. That is, you're talking about dictatorship type power that governments will look at to do that, to go up to people and say, you must use this form of treatment. That would be considered, and I think rightly so, by many, many people as a gross abuse of governmental powers. So if you want a system that's moving away from government controlling people, you don't want to imply that you're for something that is leading towards more government control. And I would say anyone in the natural health field who is not familiar with the Zeitgeist movement, if you tell them, oh, here, we're attacking Mercola.com, we're attacking, Sherry Timpenny, or anyone who's talking about the link between vaccines and autism, or anything like that, and then you say we want to just have the scientific method for social concern, and we're going to enforce that. Okay, you're just telling people that you want to take away natural health. You're telling them that you want a system that's going to infringe on what they consider their personal liberties or their personal rights. I don't like that term, personal rights, but that's more of a philosophical aside. But the point is, you're telling people, maybe not directly, but you're saying something to people which they will undoubtedly interpret as you want government control, telling them what they can or cannot do with their body. You will therefore take anyone who's in natural health, who's exposed to the Zeitgeist movement, and make sure there is no way in hell they will support you. Not only that, they will go to the ends of the earth, basically, to oppose you and stop you. So what is the purpose of taking the natural healthcare community and alienating them? To what end? When you go on a podcast and you accuse Mercola.com, getting back to him very specifically, of just writing nonsense based upon opinion and no scientific basis, and making fun of people for reading him, that's really demeaning, and it's stupid, because anyone who reads Mercola.com knows that he actually references his articles. And so does Natural News. Now, you may agree with them, or you may agree or disagree, but don't accuse someone who actually references their articles of just making stuff up. So I mean, I could go, on and on with this, but if you don't stay on point with the Zeitgeist movement, you will just alienate everyone. Isn't that obvious? The goal of the Zeitgeist movement is not to enforce your personal worldview on everyone. That is the stupidest thing in the world. A big problem with having the scientific method for social concern is that within certain areas of science, there actually is debate. According to the skeptic movement, there is no debate, and they are completely against anyone who has any idea from the outside. They are not scientific, they are small-minded, rigid people, and there are many, many people out there who, when they look at the skeptic movement, they are really turned off. They are insulted. They feel like they're looking at small-minded people who aren't open to new ideas. And look at the Zeitgeist movement will actually attract people who are open to new ideas. If you start bringing in the skeptic movement bullshit, even if you like it, you're just alienating people. You're saying, hey, if you want to listen to someone who has different ideas or just consider what they have to say, then fuck you, you're an idiot. So, if someone has, a book about the dangers of vaccines, then all of a sudden you're saying, hey, if you're interested in looking at that information, you're a fucking moron. You're against science. That's not a positive message. I mean, we want to move to a world where things are not actually done based upon the scientific consensus, but that where people are actually allowed to challenge ideas. When you look at the history of evolution of ideas, you see that you often have ideas that are accepted and wrong, and someone has to come from the outside and go against consensus. When it comes to the world of natural health, I've been in this field for really like 10 years. If I start all the way at the beginning, I've been practicing for over 4 years, out of 4 years as a student. You are exposed to so many different ideas and perspectives. The only way to really understand the system is to go in it and kind of figure it and experience it and look at it from its perspective. If we look at conventional studies for holistic treatments, they will not generally look that good because you need to study holistic therapies accordingly to the system, to the system that it is supposed to be incorporated in. And that holistic treatment is not reductionistic, it is system-based. If you take your system-based natural health care and you convert it into some reductionistic nonsense and study it in that way, it will fail. And ironically, someone can point that out and then kind of still miss and not understand, not even understand, and then just bash, natural health anyway. Anyway, I might be rambling, I hope this is clear. I think that in terms of the scientific method for social concern, if we look at something that can be well understood using reductionism, like how to grow food for people to make sure everyone has enough to eat, how to build structurally sound buildings, how to build efficient transportation, how to cover the basics so we have access abundance so everyone doesn't have to worry about working for a living doing this bullshit where you give everyone a home, you give everyone food, you allow everyone to live at a basic level of subsistence with decent technology. That's what the Zeitgeist movement should be about. If the Zeitgeist movement is about enforcing some supposed scientific view on people, you will alienate so many. And by the way, there are, many very intelligent people with alternative perspectives. You can start reading books on alternative perspectives and so forth. There's just so much out there. There's very bad assumptions that go mostly unchallenged in the world of conventional science. So the idea that the scientific consensus should be upheld as de facto of truth, that is basically a faith-based religious belief. The idea that you know the truth is the height of arrogance. None of us know the truth. The truth is we take what information we see from the outside world, we take what ideas we've been indoctrinated with, and we try to put those together to get the best approximation of the truth possible. And as new ideas and new information comes in, our old ideas must be discarded and be updated. If you understand that, and you understand that that getting closer to the truth is an emergent process that we're ever on, that means that you don't know the truth. You're never going to know the absolute truth. But furthermore, there are things that someone can take that it must absolutely be true, and then later on, it will be well understood in science that this is not true. And to not follow along with that is the height of arrogance. And when you come to like the skeptic movement, you might have people on the intellectual side acknowledge that, but then when it comes to what they actually say, they're not humble at all. There's no thought whatsoever that maybe there's something limited about their worldview. They don't think they could be wrong. They're just reiterating the same old establishment views. And what I've seen is you can present information to them that challenges it. It really doesn't make a difference. There's no point even discussing anything with them because it's a religion that the mainstream view must be correct. Okay, bye.